New business, payment of bills.
There were several questions submitted. The first question was a general question that kind of hit throughout a variety of different pages on the bills, and it was in regards to our outplaced students during the remote learning period. We did continue to pay tuition as the therapeutic day schools were continuing to provide remote education and supports to the students to meet their IEP minutes as to the best of their ability in that condition. The various schools were in contact with the previous special education director regarding the services provided, as she was their individual case managers for each of those students. And so I don't have any additional specific data regarding individual student engagement levels at those particular schools, but I do know that they continue to provide services remotely for those students. And then on top of that, we also had our students that were continuing to be placed at our residential placements, and so we have tuition for those students as well. On board book page 169, there was a question about alcohol sanitizer for $2,516. This charge is due to the increase in supply for COVID, and we want to make sure that there's hand sanitizer in every space, including classrooms. And so until we pick an in-person instruction model, it's hard to have the most accurate estimate for custodial supplies. We already have supplies on hand to start the school year. Each classroom will have a big container of sanitizing wipes, as well as hand sanitizer. We have over 2,000 disposable masks, and we're in the process of ordering more. We have face shields for staff that choose to wear them on top of their masks. And I've submitted the survey to ISB in regards to securing the cloth masks for all students as well as all faculty and staff. And those should be coming in at the end of July. And those are free, provided to the state. Dave Mannon has also worked hard to submit a grant to the Township of Riverside to secure some other things, such as thermometers to take students' temperatures as they walk in the door. I have tentatively added an additional $15,000 to custodial supplies. I plan to review that with Joel as the school year gets closer to determine whether or not we need to increase that more or not. The other question associated with this, was that we don't anticipate spending any additional money for custodial staff at this time. Joel and I have worked out, depending on which model we choose, we'll just be shifting their staff around to accommodate the extra cleaning, depending on, again, which model we ultimately go with. On board book page 170, there were in board book page. My page is numbered. My pages changed. I didn't correct the second one, but it's in regards to electricity, ComEd, and then IGS Energy, and why there were two bills. So ComEd is the delivery of electricity, but IGS is the supplier. And so we did see a reduction in the first 2 months. But this bill, there was no reduction because it covers May and June. And at that point, the building was open and we were having to operate as normal with the administrators in as well as some additional staff. Board book page 172, the Des Valley Region DVR local share of $20,000. Approximately, Des Valley Region is a consortium of school districts that help manage and meet the requirements of the Perkins Career and Technical Education Act, which is a federal grant, as well as the Career and Technical Education Improvement, or CTEI, which is a state grant. So they make sure we meet all the requirements, and they also provide a lot of assistance with student career planning for schools, program of study development, and really looking at how schools can enhance their career programming, as well as teacher professional development. Board book page 175, I believe, is LADSI Transportation. So LADSI had a contract with Grand Prairie for the school year, and so due to COVID-19, they worked on negotiating that contract and modifying it so that we would have to pay 80% of a typical bill. And then in addition to that, to reduce the overall cost increase for next year from 5%, which was initially in the contract, to 3%. All schools that have a regular daily bus contract were in this same situation and ended up paying anywhere from 80 to 85% of the normal monthly cost. That was a big topic of conversation for about a month amongst business managers in schools. We don't have this issue because we don't provide daily busing, and our contract looks very different for athletics. And so that's why we continued to pay transportation through LADSI. The state has said we will get reimbursed for those transportation costs, even though they were not necessarily always transporting students. But that reimbursement will come in fiscal year 21. Questions submitted on board book page 181, 183, 185, and 197. All these questions were in regards to a previous retirement insurance option payment of $3,000. So we have 2 people this year that are receiving partial payments because they age out, and then the other 2 people, one ends in 2021, and then the other ages out in 2022, and then that concludes kind of phasing out that retirement insurance option.
That goes back to like 2013, or actually even before that. I think it's 2008 to 2013 contract was the last year that was offered.
I believe so, yes. And then the last question, there were lots of board members that submitted questions on board page 187, Proviso Township School Treasurer. So the Township Treasurer hired 2 consultants to help with the transition to our new software, Infinite Visions, because they were, and keep in mind, they were also transitioning. So we had 2 different consultants, and they divided the cost among the districts. And then bill the district. So Kathy Conroy worked directly with the company Infinite Visions, and she's the Infinite Visions guru, and she led all of the, what used to be in person, and then we moved online, training last fiscal year as well as this fiscal year. So most recently, she did a lot of work in helping us roll over into the new fiscal year, including payroll for the new fiscal year. Kelly's Consulting Services is a person who's been with the Township Treasurer for the entire year. They hired her so that she provided daily support in the transition. So Kathy Conroy came in and did this big, week-long training here, and then, a month later came in and did another week-long training. But Kelly was there every day working with the Township Treasurer, or as well as individual districts, and supports us as needed, as well as constantly sharing out proactive reminders like, this is the time you need to do this, and here are the directions. Her contract is up with the Township Treasurer this past fiscal year as of June 30th. So these were the last invoices that we should be receiving. The Township Treasurer is delayed, so I'm not 100% certain. There might not be one more coming. So I don't have their addresses or their websites, as the Township Treasurer hired them, and they just bill us individually. And then for Kelly Consulting, the invoices change based on the amount of work that was completed that month, is how she's getting paid. And so number 24 signifies the 24th invoice that we have received on behalf of her. And I believe that answers all the questions in regards to the bills.
Any further discussion?
Shall I read the motion? The Board of Education, Township High School, District 208, Cook County, Illinois, approves the payment of the bills as presented in the July 14, 2020 Board Agenda Packet.
Second.
Thank you, Tom. And the roll call vote.
Mr. Jacobs?
Yes.
Ms. Sierra?
Yes.
Ms. Towner?
Yes.
Ms. Zulus?
Yes.
Mr. Durkin?
Yes.
Ms. Ruska?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.